All right. So I am going to show you guys how to set up your terminal to look like this. So there's a few things that we need to do before we get started. First of all, I just want to highlight I am on Mac OS and I am using iTerm 2 as my terminal emulator. You can do this setup for the most part on a Windows computer. Um, there's a few things that are going to be a little bit different, but um, for the most part, it's going to be pretty similar. So to start, just to outline the dependencies, I guess, or the prerequisites, is you're going to need Z shell. That's ZSH. You can find out if you already have that by typing echo $shell. And if this says bin ZSH, then you're good. If it says bin bash or bin sh, it's really unlikely it's going to say that, but probably it's going to say bin bash. If it does say that, what you need to do is go to Google and go to just type in install ZSH in Google. You can go here. This is the My Zsh shell GitHub, which we're going to be using this as well, so make note of that. But on macOS, you can just use Homebrew to install Z shell. So I think most of you have Homebrew set up. If you don't, just Google install Homebrew and get that installed by pasting a curl snippet here. But otherwise, you would just do brew install Z shell, let that run and install. And then at the end of that script, I believe there is a way. It'll actually prompt you if you want to set Z shell as your default shell. If it doesn't, then you're going to do this, which is you're going to set your default shell to Z shell. And you can do that by running this chsh-s command. And you're going to, if you're on, basically just follow this guide. If you're on macOS High Sierra and before, you're going to do this. If you're on recent macOS versions, you're going to do this. And basically you need to get it so that you can follow these instructions, but you need to get it so that if you type in this command echo $shell, it echoes out something that ends in Z shell, because that is the shell that I use. It has all the features of bash and more. It's pretty powerful. Most recently, macOS went, so in one of the recent updates, I think Catalina, which is the most recent, they went to using Z shell as the default. So if you're on a Mac and your computer's up to date, then you should already have this. And then I think there's even, let's see. Interesting. I think there's a way to install it on Windows, but I'm not totally sure. Anyway, once you have Z shell installed, then you're going to go to this website, omyz.sh. So this is My Zsh shell. My Zsh is another thing that people call it, and it's a framework for managing your Z shell installation. It basically is a framework for allowing you to make changes to your terminal to give it, new colors and extra plugins and stuff. So the way you install it is you grab this whole thing, including the $sign. So this whole thing, you grab it and you paste it in here and run it. Now, I'm not going to do that because I've already done it. But what this is going to give you is in your home directory. So and you can get there by just typing in cd. You can type in cd tilde, and that will get you to your home directory. So once you run this script, make sure that you're in your home directory. If you type in ls space -la, it's going to list everything that you have in your home directory, including hidden files and folders, which are hidden. Hidden files and folders are preceded by a dot, and that's what makes them hidden on macOS. And so you will see this dot oh my zsh or oh my z shell. Mine looks a little different because I have mine aliased to my Google Drive, but that's not necessarily something you need to worry about right now. Anyway, you will see this oh my z shell. You will also see a .z shell rc file. And so what I want you to do is you can either use Nano or Vim, or a text editor like VS Code. I'm going to use Vim, but you're going to Vim into the .z shell rc. And so we're basically opening up this file so we can look at it. Okay, you're going to see some of this stuff in here, but there's a bunch of it that you're not going to see. Okay, you're probably going to see this first line. You might also see one of these lines. You're going to see this line, except your name will be right here instead of mine. Whoops. Let's see. You're going to see this Z Shell theme line, except it's going to say Robbie Russell right here. Let's see. And then you'll have a bunch of, you'll have all the same stuff. If you scroll down, you're going to have a plugins section. I believe to start, it only has the Git plugin. And then you are going to see these lines, but they are going to be commented out. And this, instead of Sublime, it will say mate here. So I will go through and try and explain as much of this as I can without getting into too much detail. And I will explain what needs to be explained in order to, for the most part, get your terminal looking very similar to mine. So there's a few key components that are going to make your terminal look like this. So the first one is the prompt. That's what this is called, is your prompt. This includes the directory that you're in. So if I cd into a different directory, then it lists the directory here. I believe it only lists up to 3 levels deep though, or that might be a different theme. Let me see. Oh no. Okay, so this one lists all of them. Okay, I can remember. Okay, so this is your prompt. So it shows you where you're at. Oh, that was one thing. We also have our Git context over here, which shows you what Git branch you're on, what Git provider the repository uses, if you have any issues with your Git, your Git status essentially. And then my prompt also has the time in it, which just shows me what time it was, or in this case, what time the command was run, right? So I can come back up here and see all the stuff that I did earlier. Oh, this is when I ran these commands. So it's a pretty simple context. Depending on what theme you choose, there's a bunch of other ones. There's actually a bunch of themes baked into, if you go back to the ohmyz.sh site and click on themes, it'll take you to the GitHub page where there's a bunch of themes listed. All of these themes are themes that are built into Oh My Zsh Shell, which again is this framework. So these are all baked in. So if you want to use one of these themes, it's pretty easy, and you can see what they look like just by scrolling down here. This Agnoster one is pretty popular. So if you let's say for example, we like this theme. What you would do is you would go into your Z Shell RC file. So again, you can Vim or Nano into Z Shell RC. you're going to find the line that says Z Shell theme, and you're going to scroll down to it. And then right now, mine says power level 9K / power level 9K because that's the theme that I'm using, which we'll get into in a second. But you're going to change that to say agnoster. You can save that. And then now you can see that my theme is agnoster. And if I type in, if I go here, you can see that it looks like this. Again, it does look a little bit different because of some of the other stuff that I have set up, but it's going to change the way that this looks. Oops. So let's go back in there and change it back. But again, that is a very simple way, just with your standard Z Shell config. If you find a theme on here that you like, you can come right here and change it to whatever it says right here, and it will change it for you. I am going to put mine back to what it was. And now mine's back to the way that it was. Okay. So that is one simple way to change the theme. That is the theme of Z Shell. So that includes your context, which is, your prompt, which is this thing here. That includes, stuff that might show up on this side. That includes the things that your shell renders when it loads up. There's also your application theme. So I'm using iTerm, right? So I can open the iTerm settings, click on profiles, go to default, and go to colors. And then I can change all of the colors that all the different things in here show. I'm using a preset called Dracula Pro, and I'm using the Van Helsing preset. This Dracula Pro theme is a theme that you have to pay for, but the Dracula one is free. And so that's what this one looks like. It's very similar. It's just a slightly different color palette. But if you like what I'm using, this Dracula Pro one is free. And the way that you would get that is you go to the website draculatheme.com, search right here for iTerm, click on that. Where is the, right here, you click on the download to download it. You'll open this. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Oh, there it is. So you'll open this, and inside you will find a Dracula.iterm colors file. Okay, so in your Z Shell settings, again, you go to profiles, colors, and here, and you can click import, and then you would just navigate to that and import that iTerm's color file, and then it will show up as a color preset. You can do that with any iTerm color presets, themes, basically. So I have a few different ones. This Van Helsing one is the one that I like the best. So that's going to change your iTerm colors, which also is going to affect the colors that your Z Shell theme uses. So the Z Shell theme is more about the context and the prompt that shows up, in the shell, like where things are situated and how they show. Oh, I kind of like this one actually. That one's kind of nice. Amuse. Oh, the Apple one's cool too. But the colors are mostly going to be dictated by the theme that you use in iTerm. So keep that in mind. Now, if you want it to look exactly the way that mine does, you're going to need to get a special theme, which is a separate plugin called Power Level 9000. Whoops, 9000 Z Shell Mac. You can just type that in. I don't know. You just have to Google it. So I put this in. This is the top result, is install the Power Level 9000 theme on GitHub. So you can click this, and right here, it'll instruct you how to install it. So you can click on macOS with Homebrew, and you can install it via Homebrew. I think when I did it, I actually did an My Zsh shell install, and actually this is probably going to be the best way, considering that's the framework that we use. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab this. You're going to copy this. I have a little button that lets me copy it, but otherwise you can just grab this whole thing, not including this $sign, although I actually think it doesn't matter, but copy that, go back to your terminal, paste it in here, and run it. I'm not going to do it again because I already have it, but what this is going to do is it's going to clone the Power Level 9000 theme into this directory, which is in your Oh My Zsh Shell directory, in the custom folder, and then in the themes folder inside of that. And so I'll show you what that looks like right here. You can see in that directory I have a folder called Power Level 9000. Okay, and inside of that we have all of the stuff for the theme, right? So you should have all of this in this directory after you run that command, which you can find right here. So once you have this, then what you need to do is go back into your zshell RC file, and you need to change your theme to Power Level 9000 / Power Level 9000. Okay. Once you do that, there's a couple other things you need to do. So you'll see that I have a variable here called Power Level 9k_mode equals nerd font complete. So what this enables is these little icons, this little folder icon, this little home icon, this little GitHub icon, this little time icon. Having a font that is nerd font complete includes all of these little icons in it. You can find any nerd font by just going to nerd fonts, just searching for nerd fonts on Google. This is where I got mine, is from this GitHub repository. So if you click on this, and I believe it's in, let's see, oops, patched fonts. So if you go into patched fonts, and then these are all different nerd fonts. The one that I use is Fira Mono, I think. Let's see. If I go into profiles, text, Fira Code Nerd Font Mono. So, and I think actually if you look in here, oh yeah, so Fira Mono regular nerd font complete mono. So this is what you want. And so the way that you get this is you go back to the root page of the directory. I believe you go to releases right here on the side, and you can just click on this and it will download it. Oh no, it'll take you to the page, and then you scroll down to the bottom and you can click on this firecode.zip and it will download that. Okay. So let's see. It's not small. 72 megabytes. But anyway, you can look all of these different fonts up and find one that you like. There's a bunch of them that are pretty cool. Um, Space Mono is pretty cool. Ubuntu is pretty cool. Victor Mono is a cool one. Victor Mono is actually another one of my favorite fonts. Um, yeah, so there's a bunch of different ones in here. Once that's downloaded, open it. And if you're on a Mac, what you can do is just, you can actually just select all of these and right click. Oh, wait, no, not all of them. So this is kind of, oh, you don't want the Windows ones. Okay. So this is kind of annoying, but I do remember doing this. What you want to do is copy all the ones, select all the ones that are Windows compatible first, and delete them. So I remember doing this. So you'll select all those and delete them. I'll just go ahead and do it real quick. Yeah, it's kind of annoying, but it's when you're done, it's nice. So you can delete those, and then all of the, let's see, I think you can, so then you can right click all of them and just click open. And what it's going to do is open these in font book, and it will present you with these little boxes. Whoops. And so then what you'll do is just click on install font. And you don't necessarily need to install all of them, but you can. It's really not that big of a deal. But what you'll end up with is if you open font book on macOS, you'll end up here. If you click on user fonts, you'll end up with some user installed fonts. You can see I have Victor Mono installed. This is what it looks like. Operator Mono is the one that I typically use when I am coding, like in my IDE or in my text editor, and then Furicode Nerd Font is what I use in my terminal. Okay, so you're gonna want this. So then you'll go back to your terminal window, go to your terminal settings, again, profiles, default, text, and then choose your any one of your Furicode fonts here. Make sure that's selected. You can also check to use ligatures if you want. Ligatures is what gives you this. Well, that's a bad example. It's not showing up. Okay. Anyway, you can also select to use ligatures if you want. Okay, once you have that installed, then again, go back into the Zsh RC, and you can add this variable here. So you'll just come here, and then you can just type it out. Power level 9,000 mode equals nerd font complete, right? So exactly what I have there. You can add that. Okay. Then the next thing that you're going to need to do is add your power level 9,000 font configuration. And so I'll show you where that is. That's going to be, let's see, where did I add that? I added that. So what I did is I made a separate folder for them. So I just went into My Zsh folder. I made a new folder called Power Level 9000 Configs. You don't necessarily have to do this, but you can. Inside of this folder, I have a bunch of different configs. Here, I'll show you. So I have 5 different configs. The one that I'm using right now is called MAVAM. And if we open this, it's just a bunch of power level 9000 variables that have different colors associated with them. And a bunch of other stuff. It has the different prompt elements, which indicate, where things are and how they should look and all that stuff. If you look at any of these other ones, like this one, it's the same type of thing. Okay, so that's all that's in there. So if you go back to your Zsh config, oops, Vim, or Z Shell RC. Sorry, you go back into your Z Shell RC. You can see that I am bringing in that config file, mavam. I'm bringing that in here. And so by using this source command, I'm saying everything that exists inside of this file, bring it in to the current file that I'm in. And that's the way that these power level 9000 themes work. Is you basically just assign a bunch of different variables and it changes the way that your theme looks. You can see if I come down here and I comment out this one, if I can find the hash, if I comment out this one and I comment this one and I save it and I reset, now this looks different. This is a completely different way. And I had this one set up initially because I at one point liked it. I can come back in here and I can do the same thing. Let's see. Whoops. Right, and so this is yet a different one. The colors with this one aren't great, but this one shows, I can't remember what this one shows. This one shows like how much disk space I've used, and some other stuff along with the time. It shows my git status here, it shows my directory here, the user here. So there's a few other things that one shows. Let's see, we can look at some other ones. Maybe if I can remember how to use this. See? So there's a few different ones, and it's all just by changing the config. This one's very similar. But the one that I ultimately, inevitably, always come back to is this one. I just like the simplicity of it, and it gives everything that I need, and I really like that it shows my directory up here and then allows me to enter in my commands underneath it. I think that is it as far as my setup goes. Hopefully that wasn't too complicated or convoluted. If you have any questions, let me know.